They had a little problem in the police force in Franklin. Deputy Sheriff Sam Locke had gotten religion out at Hillsborough in the Methodist Church out there, and so he declared war on moonshiners. So the period between 1924 and March of 25, he had destroyed 73 moonshine stills. This was cutting into the profits of the Truett organization, and word got out that Mr. Truett was wanting something done about Sam Locke. So the Truetts, everyone knew it, that they were the kingpins in the thing. Locke, who had resigned as deputy sheriff because the sheriff was not he wasn't as enthusiastic in breaking up the stills. So he joined forces with Mr. Richardson, who was out in the 1st District, who was a federal officer, 10 o'clock at night on March the 7th, 1925, on the square in Franklin. Mr. Locke was in town at the movie theater, which was on the square at the time, where the First Tennessee Bank is today. He gets out of the theater, goes over to his car, and goes around the square, and the two men, Frank Kane and Jim Kelton, follow him home. Now, Mr. Jim Kelton gets out of the car, goes over behind the rock wall, and waits for him. Frank Kelton pulls on up Sneed Hill a little further and sits and waits. Mr. Locke pulls into his driveway and, of course, gets out to open the farm gate, and as he's lifting up the chain and starts moving the gate, Mr. Kelton steps up with the shotgun and shoots him in the back of the neck, almost severing his head. They turn and go back up towards Brentwood or Old Hickory Boulevard. They go down Granny White Pike on over to Wilson Pike, come into town through Murfreesboro Road. Now here it is, it's getting about midnight at this time, and they go on their home. Well, no, they go to the Truetts, apparently, and tell them that the deed is done, and then they go to their lodgings, which is off Natchez Street. Evening now, we have Mr. Henry Matt Cotton, who is the local undertaker, is bringing back a body from Nashville, and he passes the Locke driveway, and he sees that Mr. Locke's car is running and that the lights are on. So he gets out and goes over to check to see what's wrong, and he finds Mr. Locke in front of the gate. He goes to the nearest house, which is Mr. Moran's house there at what is today River's Rest. They call the sheriff, and then it is all exposed that here's the deputy has been assassinated and killed. It doesn't seem to take long for everyone to realize that Truetts must have had a hand into it, and so two of the suspects, the two black men, are picked up the next morning, and they are taken to Nashville and apparently given the 3rd degree, and they confess that yes, they did the deed, and that the Truetts had paid them to do it. The Truetts are arrested. They're taken to Nashville. They make bond, and they're back home in Franklin in a few hours. October, the big trial at the courthouse takes place. The Attorney General Neely presents the state's evidence, and the two men confess the whole story and tell the saga of the Truetts' involvement. They are very quickly found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. The Truetts, of course, stand trial separately, and they, after much deliberation by the jury, are found not guilty. The town raised $1,500 for Mr. Locke's monument, and today if you go out to Leapers Fork Cemetery, of course the big funeral was at the Methodist Church, and of course it only holds about 200 people, and there were 1,100 people showed up for the funeral. They had a big procession all the way, coming from town out in little T-model Fords, and he's buried in the Leapers Fork Cemetery, and it's the largest monument out there. 1925 was a very troubling time for this little town on the Harpeth.